Hello everybody, my name is Isolde Martyn and I'm a historical novelist. I'm also chair of the Plantagenet Medieval Society, which meets here in Hornsby, and we're today in Berkleouw's bookshop, Hornsby, which they're lending us for this shot, and I'm here by kind permission of the Sydney Mechanics School of Arts in Sydney, in Pitt Street, and the Thomas Keneally Library. And this is a wonderful hub of learning, buried secretly in the city and worth going into. They have newsletters, good talks. The Mechanics School of Art and the School of Arts were founded in lots of towns throughout Australia. And if you go into country towns today, you can often see the old building. And the one in Sydney was founded in 1833, and it's a real treasure. So do think about calling in sometime. Well, I write historical novels. I'm a former editor and historian, and I am now writing my 9th book. I like writing about real historical people. I like researching their childhood, what triggered them to make the decisions that they made. And there are people in history that might not deserve a full book, but a historian can't use them, but a historical novelist can. My first novel was The Lady and the Unicorn, or The Maiden and the Unicorn in America, and it was about a medieval woman spy. Now, a historian couldn't write a whole book about her, but I did, and it brought great success, actually. I've also written about King Edward IV's mistress, Mistress Shaw, and nobody knew who she really was until the 1970s. 2 widows on either side in the Wars of the Roses. One of them gets to be Queen of England, that's the White Queen. A duke, a bit of a villain, the Duke of Buckingham, Richard III's cousin, who helped his cousin become king and then turned against him. What made him tick? He was great fun to write about, and it was nice to write a book from a male viewpoint too. Most of my books are from male and female viewpoints. The one I'm just written, Troubadour, which is here, was inspired by going to Carcassonne in France, which is a beautiful restored medieval city. And I heard the stories about this terrible crusade that came down against the heretics in southern France to the land of the troubadours. And it was really a big land grab. And I thought, well, if you had a city-state, how would you protect it? How would you save it against this great army that was coming down? So sometimes inspiration can come from geography. I believe in doing a hell of a lot of research. Often it ends up on the cutting room floor, but at least it gives me the depth and the insight I know to really get a handle on the times. What was the network of your characters? Who did they fall in love with? What were the politics of the time? Reading up on the literature, reading around the subject as much as possible from all sorts of angles. If any of you are aspiring historical novelists, join the Historical Novel Society. Join a society of the company of the era you're interested in. If they've got good journals, so much the better. And go to writers' conferences of the genre you're interested in. Not so much the festivals, but the conferences. And please don't be afraid to approach us, because we're not ivory towered. We're quite accessible, and we'd be very happy to help you. You can read about my books on my website, isoldemartyn.com. At the moment I'm researching an Elizabethan novel, late Elizabethan, and it's a bit different from these because it's not a love story with a main political subplot. It's more political, and it's about a murder, a real life murder that took place. What else can I tell you? Go in for competitions. Don't be afraid. I put my first novel in for competitions here and in America, and it won, and that was a wonderful surprise. I never thought it would. So don't be afraid, and if you can find a writers group, kindred spirits that are going to give you the criticism and the support you need, That's really important, and I'm very grateful to the writers group that I belong to. As I mentioned, for my era, the Plantagenet Society and the Richard III Society have been marvellous. If you write Regency, there's the Jane Austen Society. And a lot of these places don't advertise, but they are there if you look them up on the internet. So don't give up. If you have the commitment to write, be professional about it. Really research your market, do the research, and know when enough's enough. Because if you do the research, it will flow through to your readers, and although you don't use everything, they'll know you know what you're talking about. And have fun. And if you feel happy about it, have humour in your books too, because people laughed and bantered all through the centuries. Enjoy writing if you're going to write.